Hi everybody, hope you're all well. So I've found a recent report, and this is from Kent Neilsen's Kent Neilsen Denmark X account. If you are on X, it's well worth following him. I don't know, you don't say subscribing, do you? It's follow on X, because he talks a lot about Bovaer. He's Danish. I think he's in Denmark. He's not a farmer. I think he's probably what you'd call a citizen journalist. So he's kind of bringing forward lots of info about what's happening in Denmark. So this one, the latest one, because he's been coming up with lots of information. Denmark's testimonies, Denmark's farmers' testimonies about their experiences with Bovaer. And there's been a sort of repercussions. Obviously, Arla appeared to have ended their trial early. It was probably likely to have ended. I am in a car park. It's a bit busy. We're having an eyesight test. Anyway, enough about that. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, Arla appeared to end it early, possibly maybe a month, because it was due to end by the end of the year. Because they did announce this into sort of early December last year, when it first came, kind of blew up and all that kind of stuff, with their announcement that they were partnering with Tesco and Aldi. So that's obviously one of the sort of possible repercussions from what's happening in Denmark. I do know that I found something that apparently in 2022 the Danish veterinary a screenshot of it will appear on 2022. Denmark's Veterinary Institute flagged health issues in cattle given Bovaer, including muscle weakness and respiratory failure. Now Norway halts it entirely. This is actually an X post, and this is where some confusion came from, because it says now Norway halts it entirely. It wasn't actually the Norway government. It was the largest Norwegian milk supplier, a bit like Arla, and I think they're called TINE. Anyway, I'll have more info on them coming up. We will talk about that. But there was a slight confusion that it was the government that kind of paused the Bovaer. It wasn't. It was just the big milk supplier in Norway, which is, no less interesting. And they've paused it till January, until they because they don't want to be tainted with dodgy PR. What I've got up there, hopefully you can see a screenshot, because I have done lots of screenshots, so I'm losing track. Well, here's one. I've got a few screenshots. Norwegian Milk Company suspends use of anti-methane additive. Norway's main milk collector and distributor said Wednesday, I'll just show you a quick pic, just for me so I know which one to put up. It was suspending the use of anti-methane additive in Calves feed as a precaution after Danish farmers reported health problems among their herds since early October, and it talks about since Denmark have done it. So, we know that. So, because of the whole mix-up slightly with whether it was Norway, the government, or the Norwegian company, and it is called TINE. Just here, another screenshot, just for my benefit, that one. So someone said, is this true? Because it was like, it kind of blew up a little bit on X, like, Norway government stopped the Bovaer trials in Norway. And someone said, is this true, Grok? And Grok said, or rather they corrected. And these things can happen. Anyway, so here's what it says on there. Fair correction, TINE SA via Norsk, I'm not saying that other word, paused Bovaer trials on Norwegian farms until January, prioritising precaution amid Danish cow distress reports. No government mandate, just industry response to potential risks and boycotts. Jarlsberg and Norseland brands avoid tainted PR hits this way. And that's the thing. Bovaer is tainting Arla. Which is, if you're going to use it, expect to be tainted. And bear this in mind, Marks and Spencer's in the UK has been using Bovaer since 2024. I'm going to put a quick screenshot up here. I don't shop in M&S. I've never have, and I've included it as a sort of, I've talked about M&S using Bovaer in my previous vlogs. So their milk, their own brand cheese, they use all their dedicated 40 dedicated dairy farms that they use are using Bovaer, and I'm presuming they make their cheese out of their own milk. I would say that was obvious, because obviously cheese is, you know, you make cheese from milk, and all your you know, presumably all your own brand yogurts are made from your own milk as well. So, you know, let's, you know, M&S, you know, if you want to have a closer look at that, if you want me to, I don't know how we can contact Marks and Spencer's, see what they say about it. Let's do it. I'll do that. Let's see if they respond. They don't have to, and Arlo have ignored me for a long time after the initial first few emails. So getting back to this one, Denmark's forced rollout ignores excuse me Denmark's forced rollout ignores similar farmer alarms, highlighting why voluntary adoption beats top-down edicts for innovation without harm. I.e., voluntary is better than mandatory. Well, I mean, I'm you know, it's just an AI tool, but you know, Bovaer is completely unnecessary. It's becoming. I've said this in my last vlog, but or the vlog that's coming. I'm forgetting which vlogs are which. But anyway, methane from cows is being measured the same way alongside CO2, and this is not right, and it's being pointed out by what they call the beef and lamb levy, which is the Agriculture and Horticulture Board, something like that. They farmers pay a levy to them, and they are starting to sort of say it's the methane should be measured differently, because they're shifting slightly in their view, and they did have quite a hardcore net zero stance, and they've slowly kind of dropped it. So this kind of hopefully, yeah. When is it? I've just done a vlog, but I haven't produced it. I've just still editing it. So that's coming. So that talks about how they measure methane and how they measure CO2, and how the UK have dropping their methane pledge, which I will be covering in the next vlog. Just saying that. This one's going out tonight. So, Norway. Let's have a look at Norway. So we've established Norway have stopped or paused their Bovaer trials till January. So watch this space. But what I did want to highlight, because we've talked about this before, would you remember I've mentioned Aarhus University and how they've done a research study, or doing a research study. And you know, to me at first I thought, oh, they'd be impartial, etc., etc. But it actually turns out that they're possibly not that impartial, because there's this article is a little old. It's the 16th of August 2025, and it's this one, just so you will see it on the screen, but just for my purposes. Research project. There is a translation issue, because this is from a Danish website. So what you'll find is when it translates it, the language is slightly odd. And when I'm reading it, you'll hear it, but it's translated from Danish to English. And I will put a link in the description to all of the things that I'm talking about. So anyway, research project, it's there. Bovaer, because it's Bovaer, I don't know that's the way they've translated it. Make your milk better. The climate milk. Now I want you to note that name, climate milk, because in one of my really early posts, I'm going to quickly put a screenshot of it here, and it's in my channel, where it talks about climate milk. So when Norway, a year or two ago, and I can't remember the exact dates, but hopefully it says it in that little vlog screenshot. They were set, so that when they were doing their Bovaer trials back then, they were set. All Bovaer milk was separate, and they were calling it climate milk and advertising it as climate milk to the general public, saying, "Oh, climate milk, it's fantastic," blah de blah. But people didn't like it and were not buying it, so they quietly dropped climate milk and decided to mix it all with the normal milk, and basically stopped shouting about it being called climate milk. And if you're reading that now, you'll see why. So very interesting. But this was a year or two ago, and what I found that out and put it on my post section on my channel. I was like, wow, this is interesting. So getting back to that article, the Climate Milk Project is a research collaboration between Aarhus University, Arla, and DSM. Partnerships, collaboration, together. Makes you wonder how much grants or funding or whatever you might want to call it that Arla and DSM have given to the university. How impartial are Aarhus University now, particularly given that they've been doing their own little trials, and they've also come out and stated that they've seen no significant side effects of Bovaer in their cows, wherever those cows may be, after the Danish farmers have been reporting that they have. So, calls it into question a little bit, doesn't it? But you're going to find these wordings, what I'm reading is slightly sarcastic. So anyway, I'll start again. The Climate Milk Project is a research collaboration between Aarhus University, Arla, and DSM, the company behind Bovaer. And don't worry that everyone already sees... And don't worry that everyone already sees the biggest conflict of interest in man's memory in that setup. Let us focus on the conclusion. Bovaer makes milk better and healthier. There will be a bit of a sort of funny translation that you'll hear. Anyway, the Climate Milk Project is a research collaboration led by the Department of Food Science at Aarhus University in collaboration with Arla Innovation Centre, Department of Animal and Veterinary Science and at Aarhus University, and DSM, which is the company behind Bovaer. That is the official Denmark, Aarhus University, the industry, Arla, and the company which earned billions and billions from Bovaer's victory over the world, DSM. These actors have carried out research in cooperation which concludes that Bovaer is not just harmless. No, Bovaer actually make your milk better and healthier. Of course, we dive into that. Do you see what I mean by the language sort of slightly changed? It's a bit odd in translation, but it's fine. We know what they're saying. What a result. The Climate Milk Project, led by the Department of Food Science... Have I read this right? No. Led by the Department of Food Science at Aarhus University in collaboration... Oh my God. In collaboration with Arla and DSM, was intended to investigate the effect of methane-producing feed directives, including Bovaer, and the 3-NIT, long word, I'm not going to say that, but you're seeing it on screen. Nitrate and full crushed rape, I'm not sure what that is, translation issues there, I think, on the quality and composition of the milk. You can read what Aarhus University itself writes about the Climate Milk Project right here, and it gives a link. I will put a link to this, but it will be in Danish when you initially click on it. But if you go to your settings, your web browser will translate it. Should do anyway. The project found that the feed strategy mentioned has no negative impact on the composition of the milk, and in some cases can improve its nutrition profile. They're really selling it, aren't they? They're not these people that are writing the article, but the whole idea that Bovaer actually makes your milk better. This is it's you. If you don't laugh, you'll probably cry. It's ridiculous. In particular, Bovaer, which Denmark, as the first and so far only country in the world, has made compulsory, and bear in mind Norway's coming 2027. This is why they're pausing it at the moment to see what the sort of public reaction is. So the more we shout about it, the more we say Bovaer taints milk, the better, because it's unnecessary. It can't get through to the milk. It's very trace amounts, but who cares? I don't, to change cows but from burping, their natural digestive system is beyond ridiculous. Anyway, back to the article. In particular, Bovaer, which Denmark, as the first and so far only country in the world, has made compulsory for conventional agriculture with over 50 dairy cows. So obviously, if you've got a small, in fact, to be fair, 50 dairy cows is small. So if what dairy's got less than 50 dairy cows? It's basically nearly every single dairy farmer. And I need to establish about whether or not organic is as well, because there's been I can tell there's confusion about whether organic milk is included in Denmark, because in UK, Organic Milk Soil Association, which is the umbrella and the overseer of all organic products, says no. Absolutely not. It's not allowed. It's a chemical feed additive, and it goes against the whole organic thing. Anyway, back to this. So 50 dairy cows from 1st of December 2025 will make your milk healthier. It's interesting that because it's actually October the 1st, so there must have been some delay from when this was written. But this was written in August, so I'm not sure. Will make your milk healthier, better and durable for a long time. Durable. I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? Does that mean it gives it a longer life? Specifically, the results showed Bovaer 3-nop at a dosage of 80 mg per kilogram of feed dry matter. And a lot of people are talking about this. If you've got to feed your cows this feed dry matter in order to give them Bovaer, it means they're not going to be eating grass like that or seeing as much sun. I mean, it's winter, they're indoors more anyway, but for the summer months, what does that mean for them? Bovaer increased the content of vitamin B12 in the milk by 21%. I mean, that's incredible. How would that have done that? I mean, this article isn't saying that this is true, it's just saying that's what they're saying. A higher proportion of short-chain fatty acids were also observed in the milk. In other words, almost miraculous nutrition improvements. I think that's being sarcastic. As vitamin B12 is important for human health and short-chain fatty acids can have positive effects. However, no significant changes were found in the taste, texture or durability of the milk, and butter produced from milk from cows fed with Bovaer showed no significant differences in sensory properties but had a longer durability. That means the taste is the same, the text is the same. I think it means texture. Your milk, on the other hand, is healthier, better and durable for a long time. What a result! Aarhus University, Arla and DSM must have been very happy when their presumed real curious research showed that Bovaer is not only harmless, but that the chemical product that has to be treated with good safety equipment actually makes the milk healthier. Yeah. I think this is coming from a sarcastic point because real curious research, Not a word about NOPA, and they're very happy too. Drinking a glass of milk is valuable from our daily intake, or for our daily intake of vitamins B comes from milk and dairy products. We were concerned that these feed supplements could affect vitamin B content in the milk, but we observed the opposite. The B vitamins rose, says lecturer Nina Agard Paulsen, obviously an Aarhus lecturer, I guess. Finding ways to reduce methane, and that says, I don't know what that word is, you'll see it on the screen, leadening, but that must be a mistranslation thing. Finding ways to reduce methane is important to make milk production more sustainable for farmers and dairy producers. It is good news that the use of these strategies has no negative effects on the composition of milk, she emphasises. Surprisingly, the research project does not mention NOPA, free knit acid, I'm not saying that long word, a degradation project of free knit, the active substance of the Bovaer feed. At first, authorities, politicians and the media said very clearly that nothing went in the milk. And I've said this for a long time, because I've obviously been showing that the FSA little screenshot where they admit that there are traces in the milk, but it won't reach levels of concern. And even the FDA have almost the same wording. So when they go, it's not in the milk, well, there's traces, all right, there's traces. It's just it might be actually traces, but who cares? I don't want to be part of an experimental environmentally ridiculous notion that cows contribute incredible, so I'll probably blame the cows, no. And then it goes on to say this was changed by PSST. That's the name of the journal or whatever this is, because I don't know what. Presumably it's a website or journalists. Oh, what do you call it? Like an online journalistic news channel on the internet. I don't know. They might have an actual hard copy thing as well. I don't actually know. I have no idea. They're based in Denmark. So this was changed by PSST. Sorry, this was changed by... I'm going to just write that there. I'm not even saying that out loud because it just sounds like a swear word. NOPA, or 3-nit, went into the milk. The Swedish Food Agency changed the information they gave about Bovaer to the Danes on the basis of that word. It just sounds like a swear word. The Swedish Food Agency acknowledged too that the Swedish Food Agency could refer to more details from the EFSA, European Food Authority, the statement on Bovaer, and the Swedish Food Agency then changed in several sections of text in their descriptions of Bovaer on the Swedish Food Agency's website. And it does give a link to the Swedish Food Agency's changes information about Bovaer. So that's really interesting. That so they've had some influence in that. In this way, Danish consumers could, for the first time, black and easily accessible. I don't know what black. Well, anyway, that's a translation thing. Easily accessible to inform themselves that Bovaer actually leaves something in the milk. NOPA, a degradation project of 3-nit, the active substance of the food composition substance Bovaer. I think this translation slightly gone wonky. So today, fortunately, public and available. Again, translation thingy. Knowledge is, the public knowledge is that the waste product NOPA is in your milk and other cow products. However, according to the research project, which does not mention NOPA in one word, so doesn't mention it at all, between Aarhus University, Arla and DSM, this does not mean a food deterioration. On the contrary, in fact, they then drink, eat, Bovaer are no longer just safe and effective, it is now a real miracle. According to that threesome that we've that is what the wild and dependent, no one is missing in front of the two words, research itself. Yeah, I mean, it's been quite fun translating from Danish to English. It's, but it's really interesting. So, there you have it. Norway have paused. Not Norway. Oh, I'm doing it myself. Norway, the Norway Milk Supplier TINE SA or TINE. I'm not sure if there's two companies. If anyone knows, they're pausing it. Arla have ended their trials possibly early. Marks and Spencers are still using it. That's something we should look at. And there is a shift with how methane is looked at, because it is a cyclic thing. It goes up in the air, it doesn't stay in the air, and it comes back down. What I would say is that, so what if Arla have stopped their trials? The likelihood is they're going to review them and they may well start using them, because they're a Danish-based company, Danish and Swedish, aren't they? Bovaer is important. DSM have got, this Dowry site, still not up and running yet, but it won't be long, presumably. It must be literally, because I'm sure November was a month into 2025 that it was meant to be producing Bovaer, So this kind of backlash with what's happening in Denmark has probably had an impact. So, I'll keep on showing you what's happening. If it's on X, and I'll bring it forward onto here. I'll put Kent Neilsen Denmark's X account link in the description. If you haven't already, go follow him, and we'll keep on looking and watching, and let's look a bit more. I'll let's email Marks and Spencers. I'll leave this customer service email here. I'm going to email them. If anyone who watches this, if you can spend 5 minutes emailing Marks and Spencers. We targeted Arla like this. I think we need to do this to Marks and Spencers now. We've been ignoring them for a little while. I personally never shop there, so it's kind of like a natural boycott. But we aren't shouting about it loud enough. And I'm actually interrupting myself because I completely forgot to show the video with the unfortunately sick calves, or reports of sick calves from drinking milk from cows fed with Bovaer. When you reach a certain age, you start forgetting quite a lot, especially if you're female. Say no more. It's annoying. But yeah, let's watch it now.
De får fysiske problemer. Vigtigt er det her, at han starter med at skrive, kalvene bliver syge efter opstart med Bovaer. Cirka 3 dage efter, at køerne får tilsat Bovaer i fodret, så de kalve, der får komælk, de bliver syge. Jeg påstår ikke, at der er Bovaer i mælken, men der er i hvert fald et eller andet problem. Kalven, de mister appetitten, de vil ikke drikke og lægger syge hen. De får fysiske problemer. Mange de kunne selv stå op, og de fik blodig diarré. Blodig diarré. Ikke noget, de normalvis ser overhovedet. Konsekvensen er jo, at nogle af dem de dør jo. Andre de måtte aflives. Og fordi man ikke kunne gøre mere. Der var ingen medicin, der hjalp på dem. Grunden til, at jeg tror rigtig meget på den mand her. Han er 60 år, har aldrig lavet anden paskalve. Han lavede sin egen lille undersøgelse, hvor han tager 15 kalve, nyfødte, og putter i en boks, og 15 nyfødte i en anden boks. De 15 i den ene boks, de får komælk. De får råmælk de første 2 døgn ved deres egen mor. Og derefter så går de over til mælk fra hele besætningen. Og den anden gruppe, de får råmælk hos deres mor i 2 dage. Og så får de mælkeerstatning, altså kunstig erstatningsmælk. De 15, der får erstatningsmælk, de løber rundt og hopper og danser, ligesom de plejer at gøre. Men 12 ud af 15 kalve i komælkgruppen, de bliver syge og lægger slapt hen. Han har sendt mig et billede af, vi kan se den her. En syg kalv. Jeg tror, der er en mere, der ligger. Det er ikke billederne, der skal tale det, men der er rigtig god evidens for, at der er i hvert fald et eller andet, der har ændret sig efter brugen af Bovaer. Stop det lort.
Interesting, just showing you what's coming out. So anyway, back to the vlog. Yeah, good news that the Norwegian big milk supplier have paused it, but let's watch this space. Hopefully they will permanently stop it, because they are saying all Norwegian farmers, dairy farmers, are going to have to use Bovaer by 2027, and that's a big worry. So hopefully that might change as a result of what's been happening in Denmark. Take care. See you on the next one. Bye.